Going to discuss what are the golden rules of the pleading. What is the pleading? Pleadings means what we plead in the court, that is known as a pleading. Pleading is also combination of the plain and written statement. Now the question arises, what is the plaint? Plaint means the plaintiff what give in writing to the court what he has grievances and what he want a claims from the court. The written statement means the person who want to defend, known as a defendant, and he give the answer of the plaintiff. Now, the plaint mean the claim raised by the plaintiff, and the written statements means the answer which is given by the defendant. It means in a pleading there are a two party. One is a plaintiff who write the plaint, and another is a defendant who write the written statement. Now, plaint means it is a initial point from where the proceeding of the court start or commenced. Now, pleadings means that what are the issues brought before the court by the claimant, that is the plaintiff, and written statement means the refusal or acceptance of the claim by the defendant or the person against whom the claim or relief raised by the plaintiff. Now, that in a case, a Gyaneswar versus a Prasad. Gyaneswar versus Prasad, it says that a plaint and written statement both known as a pleading. Another case, in a Aulad Hussain versus Shahjahan Ali, AIR 1992, LR 185, where it says that the subject matter of the plaints are a claim raised by the plaintiff and defense raised by a defendant is known as a pleading. Now, what are not a pleading? The pleadings is only considered that a written plaint and written statement, and the other relevant evidence or a affidavit or any other subject matter which is not directly given in a form of a plaint or written statement is not known as a pleading. Now, what is the object of the pleading? The object of the pleadings means which is discussed in a case, that is a Ganesh Trading Company versus Mojiram, AIR 1978, SC 482. The object of the pleadings is to bring the parties to a definite issue. Number 2, to prevent surprise and miscarriage of justice. Number 3, to avoid unnecessary expenses and trouble. Next, number is 4, to save public time. Next is to eradicate irrelevancy, and last one to assist the court. Now, what are the rules of the pleading? The fundamentals rules of the pleading and particulars rule of the pleading. The rules of pleading, this way we can categorize or classified in two ways. Number one is a fundamental rules of pleading, and number two is a particulars rule of a pleading. The fundamentals rule of pleading, again it is classified in a four category. Number one, that we must state the fact and not the law. Number two, that state the material facts only. Number three, state facts and not evidence. And last, number four, that is facts should to be stated in concise, precise and certainty. Now we are coming back in a rule number one, that is a state the facts and not the law. There are a certain exceptions that a foreign law we have to state the customs. If any custom is relevant to the fact, we also illustrate the custom, or any mixed question of law and fact, that we also can state there, or any legal pleas or defense of law, these comes under the exceptions and we can write in pleading. The second rule, which is known as a state the material facts only, the carries three exceptions, that conditions precedents or subsequent, or presumption of law, or number three, matters of inducement. In rule number three, state facts and not evidence, the exception is that we have to illustrate or explain the mental condition or notices or implied contract or relations. Now we are coming to the state rule number one, state the facts and not the law. The first fundamental rule of the pleading incorporated in order 6 rule 2 of CPC, which procedure lays down that every pleading must state fact and not law. An analysis of the rule will show that it has two parts, that is, one affirmative and the other is a negative. The affirmative part of the rule direct that a pleading must state fact, which the negative part state that a pleading must not state law. It is well settled that in pleading only facts have to be stated and not the law. Now, what is the implication of saying that a pleading must not state law? The implication is that the following thing should not be stated in pleading. Number one, that is a provisions of a law. Number two, that is a conclusion of law. Number three, conclusion of mixed law and fact. The rules that every pleading must state facts and not law is subject to the following exception. Number one, that is a foreign law. A court is not bound to take judicial notice of foreign laws. Therefore, they should be pleaded like any other fact if a party wishes to rely on them. Number 2, the custom. The custom is also not bound to take judicial notice of customs or usage of trade, and therefore they too must be pleaded like any other fact. Where a plaintiff bases his claim on a custom, he must actually plead it. Similarly, if custom of trade to be founded upon, it must be specifically pleaded and it must be clearly and unambiguously established by the evidence. But a custom that has been repeatedly brought to the notice of the court and has been recognized by them regularly in a series of cases attains the fact of law, need not be pleaded in each individual case. It passes into the law of the land. Otherwise, it cannot be held that it is not necessary to plead the custom unless the party challenge the legality of the. Next, mixed question of law and fact. Mixed question of law and fact must be stated in the pleading and they cannot be allowed to be raised subsequently. If it is a mixed question of law and fact, whether the accident has been caused in the exercise of the sovereign function of state and cannot be decided in the absence of pleading to that effect, and therefore it must be stated in the pleading. Next is a legal pleas. The rule against stating law in pleading does not exclude legal pleas to sue or plea, denying the legal rights claimed by the opposite party. Next is inferences of law. Although, according to the strict rule of pleading contained in Order 6 Rule 7 of CPC, the inferences of law should not be stated in the plain or written statement. At a departure from this rule shall be condoned both in England as well as in India, where the object is to throw light upon the facts so as to make them more intelligible and understandable. Rule 2 says that we have to state the material facts only. The second fundamental rules of the pleading that seems from Order 6 Rule 2 of CPC is that every pleading must state all the material facts and material facts only. As analysis of the above mentioned rule reveals that it has the following three aspects. 1. Every pleading must state material facts only. Second one, it must state all material facts only. And third one, the facts which are not material at the time of the action should not be pleaded. Every pleading must state material facts only. The first rule had directed that a pleading must contain fact, but then the statement of all facts having a bearing on the case is bound to overburden the pleading with many unnecessary details. Therefore, the second rule emphasizes that every pleading must state material facts only. In short, material facts are those which establish would give the petitioner the relief asked for. The word material shows that the fact necessary to formulate a complete cause of action must be stated. The important aspect of the second fundamental rules of pleading directs that pleading should only state facts which are material at the present state of the action. However, the following are the exceptions of the above rule. Number 1, that is a condition precedent. Any condition precedent the performance or occurrence of which is intended to be contested shall be distinctly specified in his pleading by the plaintiff or defendant, as the case may be, and subject thereto, and averment of performance or occurrence of all conditions precedent necessary for the cause of the plaintiff of defendant shall be implied in his pleading. The second one, presumption of law. Under Order 6, Rule 13 of CPC provides that neither party need in any pleading allege any matter of fact which the law presume in his favor or as to which the burden of proof lies upon the other side, unless the same has first been specifically denied. That is, consideration for a bill of exchange where the plaintiff has only on the bill and not for the consideration as substantial ground of claim. The third one, matter of inducement. It is sometimes desirable to commence a plaint with some introductory averment stating who the parties are, what business they are carrying on, how they related are connected, and other surrounding circumstances leading up to the dispute. Next one is a fact and not evidence. The third fundamental rule of pleading lays down that every pleading must state the facts on which the party pleading relies and not evidence by which they are to be proved. The rule is expressly stated in Order 6, Rule 2 of CPC, which enjoins that every pleading shall contain a statement of material facts on which the party pleading relies for the claim or defense, but not the evidence by which they are to be proved. The reason behind the rule against stating evidence is that if the evidence were also allowed to be stated in the pleading, that there shall remain no limit of detail and the chief object of pleading would disappear. Evidence also consists of fact. How then to distinguish between two kinds of fact, that is a facta provenda and facta provincia, that is a material fact and evidence. We may discuss three rules of in the CPC which furnish three practical or a special application of the rule stated above. That is, pleadings are to state fact and not evidence. They are as: one is mental condition. Order 6, Rule 10 enjoin that whenever it is material to allege malice, fraudulent, intention, knowledge, or other condition of mind of any person, it shall be sufficient to allege the same as a fact without setting out the circumstances from which the same is to be inferred. The second one is a notices. Under Order 6, Rule 11 of CPC lays down that wherever it is material to allege notice to any person of any fact, matter, or thing, it shall be sufficient to allege such notice as a fact unless the form or the precise term of such notice or the circumstances from which such notice is to be inferred are material. The third one is a implied contract or relation. Order 6, Rule 12 direct that when ever any contract or any relation between any person is to be implied from a series of letter or conversation or otherwise from a number of circumstances, it shall be sufficient to allege such contract or relation as a fact and to refer generally to such letters, conversations, or circumstances without setting them out in detail. Next is a fact to be stated concisely but precisely. Order 6, Rule 2 of CPC, this rule points toward two requisites of a good pleading, that is, Number one, conciseness and precision and certainty. As pointed out by Justice Paul of the Calcutta High Court, the pleading not only need to be concise, they must also precise. The whole case with brevity and precision can be attained by omitting all unnecessary fact, by omitting all unnecessary details when alleging material facts, and by giving proper attention to the language alleging the material facts. In order to attain the quality of precision, it would be help to note that there are 12 important points which we have to remember in mind while drafting the pleading. Number one, that is, names of the person should be accurately gives the correct spelling. The spelling adapted at one place should be adhered to throughout. Number two, pronouns such as he, she, they, etc. should be avoided. Third one, the plaintiff or the defendant should not be referred to by their names only. They may be called the plaintiff or the defendant, as the case may be. Next one, things should be called by the correct name and they should be described by the same name throughout. It is not proper to call the same property as land with trees at one place, group at another, and trees with the land under them at a third place in the same pleading. Fifth, in a suit on a document or on the basis of statute, the language of the document or the statute itself should be used. Thus, if a mortgage deed contains a covenant that if the mortgage is dispossessed by the mortgagor, the farmer will be entitled extra. The pleading in such a case should be that the mortgagee was dispossessed by the mortgagor and not that the mortgagor has wrongfully ejected the mortgagee. So also, if a life insurance policy contains a clause that the policy become void if assured dies of his own hand, the correct form of the pleading would be that the assured died of his own hand and not that he committed suicide. Next one is a fact should be alleged completely and plainly if and buts should be avoided as far as possible. Next, as far as possible, complex sentences should be avoided. Next, describing the fact in the passive voice should also be avoided. For example, instead of saying that defendant's money was paid up. It is better to say that the plaintiff paid the defendant's money. Next, the pleading should be divided into separate paragraphs, and as far as possible, only one fact should be stated in one paragraph. Repetition should be avoided. All necessary particulars should be stated